My grandparents came here in 1940s. It was a traditional dairy farm. We gradually built up into the 90s to about 180 cows, 200 dairy cows. And then I came home then mid-1990s, liked the cows. We put them into the existing buildings that we had. And then in 2020, we got an aligned milk contract, gave us a little bit more security and decided to go for it.
What we find is very typical here at Graig Olway, as you would see on a lot of farms. Quite simply, the buildings were built for a different time. They're quite closed up buildings, heavily clad around the outside, quite dark inside, closed ridges, challenges of lighting and ventilation within. In today's weather, today's climate and today's high performing cows, we just find that these buildings aren't as suitable as they were when they were built in the late 70s, early 80s.
The cows generally tell you what they want. You know, they tell you where their issues are, what they're not happy with, and what areas of the shed they like. So I think it's really important that actually we make decisions based off them, and that is going to be sometimes off visual things we can pick up, but also from like all the data that we're generating from robots to temperature monitors inside the shed, outside the shed, to be able to kind of control their environment based off what they're telling us they need.
The main challenge here was we had quite a low roof. We had cladded sides, so it was dark, it was dingy, and there wasn't much airflow through. Another big challenge here is we have one building here, and then next to it we have another building. So you have quite a wide span of buildings, meaning when you've got your prevailing wind coming across, there's not much airflow coming through the whole building. So the biggest challenge would be heat stress. These are high performing cows producing a lot of milk. They've got a lot of heat to get rid of, and they're kept in quite an enclosed building.
The guys at Galebreaker came to us with some ideas, working with the tags in the cows, working with the control systems for the ventilation. I really like the efficiencies of it, being able to control it. It's easy to have a set of fans that would automatically turn on and off, but not targeted at cow level. So I like the idea of that and the work that Galebreaker had put into it.
First thing we decided we needed to do was, having smoke tested, was realise that the building for the spring and the summer was far too enclosed. So removing the cladding was the obvious solution here. However, that doesn't help us in the winter months. So the beauty of a variable ventilation system that we have fitted here is that you can enclose the building in the winter to keep the weather out of the shed with mesh material, allowing light transmission and ventilation. But then in the summer, curtain can be up out of the way and you're making the best of the natural ventilation that this rather exposed site has to offer.
In mild cases of heat stress, we'll tend to see cows like increased standing times. You'll often see them bunching and grouping together in areas of the sheds which may be darker, a bit of extra airflow, often over water troughs because the air's a bit cooler over them. And then kind of as the heat stress gets worse, you'll kind of see more overt signs like increased respiratory rates, panting.
So my key piece of advice that I'd give to farmers that are worried about heat stress on farm would be to look, think and act. Go into your shed and look at your cows. Have you got more cows standing during the summer months? Are they bunching together? Are they standing around water troughs? If so, you're likely suffering with heat stress on farm. Number two, think. Put a temperature humidity sensor in your building, measure it, and then see if, think about heat stress on farm. Are you suffering with it? If your building is over THI 65, 68, you've got a heat stress issue. And then finally, act upon it. What can you do to mitigate heat stress? Think about opening your building up, getting more natural airflow in there, and then supplementing with mechanical ventilation, increasing air speed over each cow's back to help cool them down.
We've added on the VVS curtains instead of the space boarding. We played about with the space boarding for quite a few years, trying to get more natural ventilation through there, and the VVS curtains have transformed it. And then the vent tubes are getting a lot more fresh air into the shed, and targeted fresh air. It does transform the environment of the shed, and hopefully a couple of years down the line we're starting to see some very positive results from it. Since putting the technology in, we have seen some changes in the cows. We've seen less effective reduced intakes this year, and mobility and lameness in the animals has improved, and overall health has been better this summer.